BBC Radio Leeds, as simple as that. Text from your mobile to our studio screen, 07786 202 924. It's BBC Radio Leeds, 20 to 9 now, definitely 9.
I've had a frightening conversation with a friend of mine, re this next subject we're talking about. Our next guest has actually made a film about what she says is the rising use of the illegal drug ketamine in the UK. Now, it's inspired by her first-hand observation of the drug and is based in Leeds. Now, her name is Belinda Barnett. Good morning, Belinda.
Good morning, Georgia.
So, your first-hand observation of the drug, what are we talking about? Were you offered this? Have you taken this?
It's quite a prevalent drug in the Leeds area, and if you go out in Leeds, or if you even speak to people who party in Leeds, or even stay in at home in Leeds, it's a drug which is on the up.
What is it?
Is it a pill?
No, it's a crystal substance, and it can be taken in a number of different ways. It can be snorted, it can be taken inside a pill as well, inside a capsule, and some people also inject it in a liquid form.
Goodness, and where do you get it? What's it used for? You say it's an illegal drug. Presumably it is legal in some areas of life, but obviously not for people, from what you say.
Yeah, in small doses it's administered in hospitals, and it's used for heroin addicts and alcoholics, and it can also be used for pain relief. However, it's recreationally used, but taken in much higher doses, and that's where it's dangerous.
It shows how wrong I must be. I thought it was linked to animals. I thought it was a drug that vets use.
It was created about 30 years ago for use in veterinary clinics, and a lot of the industry is fueled by people stealing vials from vets in order to make their own homemade versions of it, cutting it with other street drugs like amphetamines and then selling it on.
Now, is this where the danger occurs, because it's being mixed with something else, or is it dangerous on its own?
It's dangerous on its own. When it's administered in hospital, it's administered in 50 milligram doses. However, people can take up to half a gram in one setting. That's about 200 times, or people can use it 200 times more than the recommended dose, and that's where it's dangerous.
Oh, frightening. And with people's, you mentioned a story that's concerned you in your life recently, Georgie. People listen to a conversation like this and they think, I don't begin to know the half of it. I don't necessarily know what my child or grandchild is up to. And what is the purpose of making this film? Because I know it's been entered into the Cannes Film Festival in the short category for this year. So, it's a serious film that you've made. What are you trying to do with it?
Well, it's clear that there are a lot of drug issues going on. There's Frank, which is provided by the government, and there's a lot of adverts about drugs, and they all...
I've seen those adverts. They're really effective.
What about that man with multiple personalities that comes into that room?
Comes into the party, yeah.
And they're all to do with cocaine or other psychedelic drugs, sometimes cannabis and ecstasy. And I think there's a real underrepresentation of issues regarding ketamine, considering the degree that it's used to. It's a really, really popular drug nowadays.
Why did you make this film, Belinda?
In the longer term, I think that it's important for these issues to come out, and perhaps I'd like it to be nationally broadcasted and to become more of a public issue, so that in the future there's more literature, perhaps in colleges and universities. It's quite a popular drug, especially in universities.
You seem to be almost saying we're in a culture of denial about it, even though it's available, publicly not acknowledging that it is the problem that it is.
Denial, perhaps, but I think it's also ignorance to the degree that it's used. I think that a lot of people do it indoors, they don't really talk about it, so perhaps there's almost not even a denial but an ignorance.
So the authorities, you think, aren't aware, or as aware of it as they should be?
If they are aware, then they're not doing enough about it. And
do you approach them in this film? I don't know what form the film takes, but do you try and sort of put that to the people? Drugs are classified. We've got the police in West Yorkshire work and talk to us often about the whole issue of drugs.
Well, I think that classification, people will always take drugs. Whether you classify them or not, they'll always take them. Whether if you reclassify something to a Class B, to a Class A, somebody will always take it. The point of this film is that it shows that the more people are prepared with information and the more aware they are of the dangers of it, they can take it in a safer way, and so that tragedies won't happen. Tragedies happen from abuse and from people...
Well, shouldn't you be saying don't take it at all, rather than take it in a safe way?
Yes and no. People will always take drugs.
You mentioned your long-term goal for this film.
Yeah.
And why you did it, but short-term, why did you do it?
Short term, because I'd like to get into documentary, and I knew that the ketamine scene was very close to me in Leeds, and I decided to...
have you been offered it?
I have been offered it, yes.
Did you try it?
I did try it on one occasion, yes.
What did it do to you?
It's a dissociative anaesthetic, and that means that it blocks certain signals from some parts of your brain to your conscious mind. So it gives you effects of depersonalization, derealization, synesthesia, where you see sounds or hear colours. And yeah, it allows free mind movement and hallucination. But you know, in bigger doses, it can be catastrophic. It can cause respiratory collapse, and it can put people in a really vulnerable position. And people have been killed in traffic accidents. People have drowned from it, and it's often used as date rape because of the effects that it has. Yeah. So it's definitely a drug to watch out for.
And you've opened our eyes this morning.
And you've been very honest, Belinda. Thank you.
Thank you.
Belinda Barnett from Leeds, talking about a drug that she has seen firsthand. She's made it into a film, Cannes Film Festival this year. It'll be among the entries. BBC Radio Leeds.